All right, how's it going? Back with another market report video. So, you know, kind of the general trend I'm seeing is, obviously there's still some big sales going on. Seems like the less key books, like the more minor keys, are really losing some steam. But the big keys, whether foreign or U.S. books, still seem to be doing fine. But it's more the modern, or sorry, not the modern, but the kind of the minor keys. Stuff like that used to kind of be real easy to sell. And people that were into a certain character would want all those minor keys. Whether they're foreign or American. But now I'm really seeing that stuff just not selling at all. And I've completely stopped buying books with the intention of selling, just because, lately just nobody wants to seem to buy, the more minor stuff that, I would typically just, find a book I want and then go through everything the seller has and take anything I think would possibly be of interest to somebody and sell that, and then basically, pretty much get my book for free and make some money on top. But it's kind of, the market seems a little too, a little dangerous right now to be trying to do that, and I don't want to get stuck with a bunch of books I really don't want. So for now, I'm just kind of watching from the sidelines. If I see something I need, I'm just going to buy it. But I'm not going to worry about selling right now until some things, change in the market. We do have that heritage auction, I think, coming up, in a few months. So that'll be interesting to watch what happens. Hopefully the economy will maybe have stabilized a little bit by then, and people will be interested in buying some books. I know there's gonna be some big foreign grails in that auction. I'm definitely not planning to buy anything, but I'm definitely gonna keep an eye to see how things do. Probably the big sellers will be the golden age, foreign stuff. But it'll be interesting to see what people bring to the table. All right, so first up here, we've got a Brazilian Secret Wars 8. One bid, sold for $15. So real low price there. That book it's not the first edition for Brazil, but I would have thought, that book I would have thought would have sold for, double that price. But like I said, the more minor keys, they just don't seem to they don't seem to be bringing in the money right now. Like this, 238 first Hobgoblin from Brazil. Looks like a low grade copy, but sold for $6. That's just crazy to me. That was a $40, $50, $60 book just a few months ago. But yeah, I think it looks low grade and but not that bad. Unless it has like total spine split or something like that. I don't understand why it sold for so cheap. And then I don't even know much about Spawn books, but this is a Brazilian She-Spawn. I'm not sure if it's like a Brazil only cover, but this one sold for almost $200. So, $200 for a book I don't even know what it is versus, established keys selling for pennies on the dollar. So, it's just kind of the way foreigns go. You just never know what you're going to get. This is Action Comics 457, kind of the creepy Superman cover from Brazil. It sold for $30. It looks like a pretty nice copy too. It's a pretty dark cover, and I don't see a bunch of creases or anything on it, so not a bad deal. This one surprised me. It's Action Comics 1 Superman, kind of reprint from, I think it's the late 90s. This Invictus, they did a bunch of these books. And it's a cool looking book, but I was surprised that it hit $91. There was actually one printed before this by the publisher Ebal, and I think that one's digest size. I'm not exactly sure how big these Invictus books are. I'd have to look into it or ask a Brazilian friend. But I'm actually kind of interested in finding one of the Ebal versions that came out before this, because if this is selling for $91 and it's not the first time this cover was used in Brazil, the other one would be the one probably to get. Another kind of low sale. Looks like a pretty low grade copy. Looking at all that spine, looks pretty jacked up. And this is not the first version or the first time this book was printed in Brazil, but still Spider-Man 194 First Black Cat for $15. That's way less than I would have expected. I would have thought that would have probably sold for $30 to $50, no problem. And another super low sale. So this one, it doesn't. This seller doesn't quite seem to have a grasp on how to sell books to Americans. Because they didn't really include anything about the American equivalent of this book. Didn't say anything about it being the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul. But this is from 1971. Ebal, Batman Robin, first Ra's al Ghul, and supposedly a high grade copy of this sold for $500 at one point. So $52, yeah, that was a steal. Somebody got a good deal on that, and they paid really hardly anything for it, for being a pretty big Batman key. This one is pretty interesting to me. This is pretty high sale. This is it looks like a really nice condition though. X-Men number 6 from Brazil, which was the first appearance of Juggernaut, and they kind of use crazy colors on these books. This one sold for $330. For the condition, if you're a big Juggernaut fan, it's probably not a bad deal because it looks really, really high grade. So this is the Fantastic Four, number 4, first appearance of the Submariner, but actually also includes Fantastic Four, number 5. So you can see that little picture of Dr. Doom there. This sold for $110, which is pretty good, pretty good price for that. This was, not the first time the story was printed in Italy. These early Fantastic Four stories were printed in the back in a Charlie Brown Italian book. They were like a backup story, and so I actually have the Fantastic Four number 5, first appearance of Dr. Doom, and it's from 1966 or 67, I'm pretty sure. So that predates this book by about, I think, 4 or 5 years. But yeah, and for cover wise, this is obviously the one you're going to want, but if you want the historical first appearance in Italy, it would be in the other book. I prefer this, even though it only has like a little picture of Dr. Doom. I put my other book on the market, but I think just having, not having the cover, having a Charlie Brown cover on there or a picture of Snoopy, people are just less interested in it. And that's fine. I don't mind. I'll keep it. Werewolf by Night number 1. This sold for $80, which is a solid price. You could still find these pretty expensive on Italian, or pretty inexpensive on Italian eBay if you look around. I think I've seen copies for about €5, but then you're gonna have to spend $20 to $30 getting it shipped to America. It's Fantastic Four 49. This is a high grade Italian version. I'm not sure if I would say high grade, but it's looks like a crease that runs down the spine and a couple spine ticks, but not a bad looking copy, we'll say that. Sold for $290, best offer accepted. This one I don't think I didn't take a look to see what it actually sold for. But this actually is, I had a pretty good run buying Italian books there 4 or 5 years ago, but they really they've pretty much dried up. Most of the keys have dried up, or they've gotten too kind of too pricey for me to buy more of. But this book was never one that was like super readily available for whatever reason. You could find 48 and you could find 50, which doesn't actually use the same cover as the 50 that we know. But for some reason, this book just didn't pop up as often. It was still cheap when you could find it, but it just didn't come up too often. Conan 1, looks like This one looks pretty nice condition. I don't really see any spine ticks or anything. Sold for $75. These were two, pretty high grade for the age. Italian ASM 121 and 122. I'm assuming it was probably the same buyer that bought it. Sold for $500 a piece, and these were signed. I'm assuming it looks like Jerry Conway. It's too hard to read there, but yeah, signed by Conway. So these are some pretty interesting sales. This person in Greece is selling kind of like sets, or kind of like, not full sets, but just kind of partial sets. So we've got the ASM 124, which to me, don't even really consider that a key, but it's sold for $170, which was pretty surprising to me, with 25 bids for the Italian and the Greek. And I can't really say, most Greek stuff is pretty hard to find unless you know someone in Greece. I would think that Italian's not hard to find at all. But $170, that's definitely, I was surprised by that. That's a strong sale right there. 300, so that's what I thought was interesting. Oops. That this sold for $169. There's only 2 books, and here you have a lot of 5 ASM 129s for $299. So this seems way cheap when you compare it to that. This comes with, let's see, it looks like the Dutch, the second Italian, the giant, the poster size, or the magazine size Italian, the German, looks like a little Italian. I'm not really sure where that's from, actually. Kind of like collected trade paperback, and then the newest Italian, the Lomo Ragno Classic. That one was, I think, printed in the early 2000s. I'm not sure when this little book was printed or where it's from, but we'll have to look into that. But yeah, for $299, that didn't seem like a bad deal for all 5 of those books. And then this makes no sense to me at all, because you got this, which is a much more desirable cover and book, but then you got this, Spider-Man 134, first appearance of Tarantula, sold for $364. So that just seems even crazier to me. So this, $364 for these 5 books, which looks like the Dutch, 2 of the Greeks, an Italian, and a German. So yeah, this guy's making a killing just putting together some of these, pretty easy to find sets and selling them off, together. Of course, of these, the Greeks are going to be the hardest ones to find, but this guy lives in Greece, so, it's probably not that bad for him to find them. And another one, Spider-Man 136, and this is his old 4. Again, it was the Dutch, the Italian, the German, and the Greek for $290. So not too bad. This is the Italian Superior Spider-Man 17, J.G. Jones cover. This is probably one of my favorite modern foreign books. It's a virgin cover with embossed cover, and it's just a real beautiful book in hand. You gotta be careful, because you can tell this one. So if the copy's ever been read, the cover curls. And I tried pressing. I had one that had a curled cover and one that laid flat. And it's gonna be, the back cover's gonna be curled and the front cover's gonna be curled. And it's real hard to get it to lay flat again. But beautiful book, sold for $160. Not a bad deal. I think I sold one last year for pretty close to that price, and they're not cheap in Italy either. I think, I was. When I first started buying them, I was paying $50 to $75 a piece for them. So, good looking book. Definitely a good one if you like modern keys. So this one included, same seller in Greece, 2 ASM 361s, the Italian and the German, sold for $149. So that's a pretty strong price. And here we have Vampirella 1, the German edition. Looks, and they're saying it's a real high grade copy. Sold for $177. That's the highest I've ever seen one sell for, and these aren't easy to find. They used to pop up on German eBay, but I've sold a couple for right around 100, lower grade than this one. But this one, does look pretty nice condition. So 177, that's a pretty good price there. So this one I thought was interesting because it's a German Fantastic Four, 49, and we've seen, I've showed on several of these market reports someone selling the 48, the 49, and the 50 for less than $150, and then this one just sold by itself for $150. So it just kind of shows you the unpredictability of the foreign market. Some stuff will squeak through super cheap, other stuff will, you got to pay up for. So that's why I tell people, it's just being patient and finding the right deals. Now would be a good time to probably put some money aside, and based on what is going on with the economy, and maybe just have a little pot of cash in case someone does have to sell, a couple Grail books for cheap, because it's kind of the potential could happen here, shortly. Ultimate Spider-Man, sold for $99, and this was the French version. And then Spider-Man 12, this is a Panini, I think this is from France, sold for $87. So this was, I believe, either the same seller, or there's one that sold, I think, for $1,200 a couple weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago, and had the exact same background. So either this seller has multiple copies of this book, or that one actually didn't sell, and they did sell it for $700. But this is La Masa number 4 from Spain. Great book, magazine-sized. This one has the black and white interior, cover by Lopez SP. But yeah, great looking book. Doesn't come up for sale a ton in Spain. When it does, and this book in Spain is going to cost you $400 or $500. So, paying $700 on the American market, it's not a bad deal. And it looks like a nice copy too. Star Wars Heir to the Empire, First Appearance of Thrawn. This is the Spanish version, sold for $60. This one I think sold for, it was $330. As a Golden Age Spanish Batman, and these are interesting because these are like original stories that original Golden Age stories that weren't adapted from American comics. They kind of did their own thing, and Robin, I think, was kind of more of the main character, and they kind of had like some racist covers and some pretty racist things going on in them. Robin had a gun in a few different ones, so definitely not the Batman and Robin we're used to in America, but cool books. I'm not exactly sure how much these sell for on the Spanish marketplace. I don't collect too much Golden Age stuff. I do know they have reprints of these, so you have to be careful, make sure you're buying authentic, like original versions and not the reprint. But the reprints, obviously, they're going to be bright white and look brand new, and they those on the Spanish marketplace sell for $5 or €5 to €6, so $7-8 a piece, and those could be worth investing in if you can get them cheap, just to have them and kind of flip through and not have to worry about messing them up. I thought this was a pretty strong sale. Swedish X-Men 133. I think this is like Wolverine's first solo story or something like that. He's fighting the Hellfire Club, but sold for $120. And to me, I would consider this more of a minor X-Men key. So to me, it just seemed like a pretty strong price for that one. Here we've got some Swedish Golden Age. Looks like a Batman and a Superman. Superman sold for $72, and the Batman sold for $123. I almost pulled the trigger on this one. This was a Swedish Detective Comics 241, the Rainbow Batman. I've never seen one before, and typically the Swedish Golden Age, Batman books can be pretty tough to find, and the price wasn't bad either, $1.99. I didn't pull the trigger fast enough, and someone else got it, but great book, and happy to see that someone got a good looking book. It's a Tomb of Dracula 10 from Sweden, sold for $275. This says from Norway, so chances are this was a guy, Ulrich. He lives in Norway. He's kind of got a monopoly on the Norwegian books. But yeah, this is looks like a decent version of the Tomb of Dracula 10, the Swedish edition. It doesn't look like a terrible copy, so $275, someone jumped on it. Like I said in the past videos, I feel like this is the hardest one to find. So not a bad deal, especially when people are paying for, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for the German, which tends to be the easiest to find. But yeah, typically the German, spending a couple $100 is, I'd say a decent deal. But I think there was that one outlier sale for a few thousand that just didn't really make much sense. But yeah, a couple $100 for the Swedish, I think, is a good investment. This is the Spider-Man 121, the Dutch edition, which I believe, I'm not exactly sure the date of when this one came out. Some of these, are more more recent, especially because it says classic on it. So I'm assuming this one's probably from the 90s. But it sold for $62. So I thought this was interesting. A slab CGC 8.0 of the Dutch Spider-Man 361 sold for $36. So that's like a terrible sale for the seller. They probably paid twice that just for the comic, plus another $50 to get it slabbed and shipped. So this was a pretty big loss, I'd say, for them. But yeah, $36 with 5 bids for a 8.0 Dutch. But then here you see 2 other ones sold. And these included a couple other comics, which I wouldn't really even consider keys. So really the thing that brought the money in was the fact that it was the 361. And these sold for twice as much. So kind of crazy that, people were willing to take the gamble and pay twice as much for a copy that has to ship from around the world, from Germany, rather than just buying, spending more and getting the slabbed 8.0. The chances of these, copies being higher than 9.0 are probably pretty slim. Once they, get to America, I guess you'd have to find out, but yeah, and typically the international shipping tends to kind of kill the grade of the books. Sometimes you get lucky though. So I was just kind of highlighting these. This is just like lots of just random foreign comics, Mexican, like random French comics. So someone is just offloading, just basically just non-key books. And the reason I put this on here is, kind of lesson I've learned over the years of selling. I've been buying and selling foreign comics for, right around probably 5 years. And you don't want to buy anything but the keys. And sometimes you'll get stuck buying like big runs of books just to get the keys. But trying to offload those non-keys is almost not even worth the effort. And as you can see here, this guy's selling, 10 book lots for $10. So basically these are just foreign dollar books at that point. So that's kind of something to think about. I know there's a couple guys in the foreign comic group that, they talk about trying to figure out ways to make, money or, save money to buy more foreign books. And they're just starting to import just all these kind of crappy books that no one cares about. But you're never going to sell it. You maybe try and give them away, but people might not even take them if you're giving them away. Really, people that buy foreigns want the keys. They want their foreign versions, their favorite characters. They want the grails. And that's just really the only reason people are collecting these books for the most part. As they get more into the collecting, sometimes they will kind of be like, okay, let me find out more about this country and their own superheroes and their different different kind of non-canon stuff, or they're just kind of deeper into it. But for the most part, the big meat in the market is going to be the keys. This kind of proves that point that just kind of the random stuff is going to be just really hard to sell. All right, and I think this might be the last one. So this is these are Japanese X-Men comics, pretty cool looking X-Men from Japan. These covers are pretty sweet looking. I'm a big Gambit fan, so I might have to get one of these days. But this seller, I'm pretty sure it's Eric from the Foreign Comic Group. He seems to be importing a ton of Japanese stuff, and making a pretty good. Actually, these aren't all the same seller, but making a pretty good amount of money on it. I'm not sure how much these sell for on the Japanese market, but turn around and flip them for $35 a piece. It's a good deal for the buyer because I don't have to do the heavy lifting of importing books, and then good deal for the seller because they're probably making a nice little bit of cash on top of these sales. So $35. There's a couple really cool Japanese X-Men covers. Something I only own, I think, one of the Japanese Spider-Man Playboy books, and I own a Japanese Silver Surfer 1. And besides that, I don't really own any of the other Japanese stuff. Mainly because they're super thick. Actually, I do have the Spider-Man 301 from Japan, which I think the seller here, Eric, he gave me that a few years ago as a gift, which was awesome. But yeah, they're really, really thick, so you got to have someplace to store them. I couldn't probably buy too many more Japanese books just because I'm running out of room and places to put them. But they're very cool, and kind of a niche market, but something to keep an eye on because they are pretty fun looking books. All right, I think that is it. I will keep an eye on the market and talk to you guys soon. Bye.